I think this is going to work with two of us.
Here he is.
What's going on, guys?
How's it going, mate?
We're going to see if this works, Doug.
Guess it'll work.
If we can.
Let me
I
show
think
my
the
door.
Wi-Fi is the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi is strong enough. You want me to shut that curtain?
Yeah, we
What
got
curtain? Oh, that
Oh,
curtain.
there's a curtain. What do you mean, what curtain?
Hey, how you
Hey.
doing, man?
I'm
You
good,
made
man.
it.
I made
I'm
it.
good.
Yeah. It's very easy, actually.
Is that better?
I think so. Yeah, it's taken some of the glare off. Yeah, it's easy. So I was in Putney.
Putney's what, 30 minutes from here?
Yeah, exactly. District line straight up. So
You got to look. We've got to
we've got
keep
to
remember to look
Ah,
at that
right,
thing.
it's that
right?
thing there, right. South of the water, where no taxi drivers will take you after midnight,
Why?
like me.
What
live
time
there.
is it over there, by the
It's
way?
dodgy. It's dodgy.
I don't know. There are some rough parts, but some nice parts as well, right? So
We're drinking
time?
beer.
What time is it in London?
okay,
Clear beer. Clear beer.
it's 2:00. It's bang on too.
Bang on too. He's a very prompt guy.
Yeah,
Let me just turn this off.
I'll do the same, eh?
By the way, this is the first time you two have met, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've never met.
Yeah,
We've actually, I don't think we'd even met online until you introduced us.
that's right. Yeah, a few days ago, a couple
Yeah,
of
a
weeks.
few days ago. Last week it feels like.
Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, something like that. It's a quick one.
So nice to meet you, Andy.
You
Nice
too,
to
man.
meet you.
There you go. No,
Well, see,
people,
Doug-
people told me all the time, I don't want to sound cliche, but people told me all the time, oh, it's not worth it being on LinkedIn, you know, I'm not getting a lot
Oh,
of
bullshit.
leads or sale. I'm like, you know, that's not even half of it. The other half is connecting, meeting people,
yeah.
networking, growing, and just having a laugh, right, Simon?
Are you recording this now?
He's recording it.
Oh,
Yeah.
we should watch our language.
Yeah.
No,
that's
no, you
fine,
don't
man.
we're in London. We
Candid
don't-
moment,
we
candid
don't give a
moment.
shit. We're in London. We can say whatever
Yeah,
we want.
yeah.
See, Doug and I, and he'd only met, what, a couple of months ago, Doug? Where did we meet?
Like last month.
Was it?
But
And
you've
he
known
didn't-
each other for a
Yeah,
while, innit?
we've known each other for probably nearly a year, I think.
Over a year. Yes.
And so I said to Doug, I'm coming to Chicago for work. Let's catch up. And so
Nice,
we
nice.
met at a restaurant. He took me to a pancake place for our first
He
date.
did what?
Fucking
Pancakes?
Fucking pancakes.
Do they sell beer?
No,
What?
exactly. We went to alcohol free.
Oh,
It's like,
mate.
why would you go there?
He ordered a hamburger at a pancake place, a hamburger with a cup of orange juice. It's the
Well,
most
what do you expect him to do?
diet
Yeah,
I've
Eat
ever
bloody
seen.
pancakes.
Exactly.
He's not a kid.
Oh my God. And then Doug goes, oh, I'll drive you to the airport, right? Well, if you've never been in a car with a deaf guy driving, right? See, Doug, he forgets he's deaf, right? And he drives like 1,000,000 miles an hour. And this poor little car like wailing, howling in protest at Doug drive. I said, Doug, it's all good. I'm all good for time. And then I couldn't like hold up a sign and say, slow down. And my sign language is shitty. Couldn't tell him like I'm, scared.
I was going the speed limit. That's the
You were
crazy
not.
thing.
Speed limit.
The
You were
speed
you were
limit is
driving-
75 miles an hour.
Oh
I
my
was,
God.
no, 65. I was going 65. What are you talking about?
He's not only is he deaf, he's also blind because there's
Yeah,
no way
right,
you're
yeah.
doing 65 mile an hour.
This should be an interesting one because, they were talking about in the pandemic, there was a trend of like guys going and joining dog walking clubs. Now this,
What, to meet women?
Well, it sounds like it, doesn't it? Dog walking clubs, right? But they go
Are you
walking.
in the dog walking club?
Yeah, they sort of, because they say when you're side by side talking to another guy, you can sort of open up about your feelings and stuff.
Right.
So God knows what I'm going to be spilling sitting next to this fella. Side by side, imagine I'm walking the
Oh
dog
my-
out.
So
So before we get too much further, we've got to introduce the guests here because people always tell me you forgot to introduce the guests. I don't know what they do. So here we go. This is Andy Kovacs. He is one of the best communication experts on LinkedIn. I mean,
Oh,
I
thank you.
talked to him a bunch of times offline. His mind, wow, so sharp.
Right,
Philosophy,
Doctor.
communication, blue collar, common sense. Put that together, you got such a powerful intellect. So
Yeah.
welcome, Andy.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's good to be here. And I think it's what I loved about this is the whole idea. We're sitting here in London. So Simon's an Aussie.
True.
You're there in Chicago. I'm British. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, it's actually, is this obviously you come to London, I guess, Simon.
Yeah, I used to come here a lot, and I'm on a sort of a bit of a tour of Europe, you know, with our partners. And in fact, I've got two of our partners with me all day today.
Nice. It's actually London's like that. There's a lot of Australians here in London. It's
Too many.
too many.
Is Earl's Court still as bad
Earl's
as it
Court is still as bad as
full
it
of
was.
Aussies,
It's
drunk
full of
Aussies.
Aussies. It's
Full of
absolutely
drunk
full.
Aussies.
Do you know why that is, Doc?
He has no clue.
It's because
I
the
have no
criminal
idea,
always
man.
returns to the scene of the crime. No, we got this banter going.
See how full of shit they are.
This-
Hey, by the way, do you know what
Not
Simon does for a living?
Never mind that. These pricks, right? These pricks sent Australians to Australia 200 years ago,
The lucky
Right.
ones went.
right? And now,
Australian prisoners, right?
right, and now you know the number one country that emigrates to Australia. Guess it's the number
Yeah.
one country. These pricks, right?
Yeah, no, that's right. He's absolutely right about that. But
Unbelievable.
it's when you start looking at the culture, though, it's so interesting. Because when I was in America, everybody was saying to me, "Oh, where are you from in Australia, mate?" Wait, I was like, "Australia? What are you talking about? I'm British." But your accent, you got an Australian accent. What Australian accent,
You haven't
right?
got the worst Australian
Got
accent.
the
I've
worst
ever heard.
Australian accent you've ever heard.
That's dreadful.
But it's like you look at the sort of English-speaking countries. There's so many similarities. But I sort of look at the similarities between Australia and the UK, because we're very individualistic cultures, very individualistic cultures. You see, so I think because if you go across the water to New Zealand, it's totally different.
Well, no one,
Totally different.
no one understands it. So
Totally different. They're more sort of group orientated. Like the light bulb goes in Britain, guy gets his ladder, change the bulb. Australia, guy gets his ladder, changes his bulb. New Zealand, it's a teamwork, team effort. One guy holds the bulb, two guys turn the ladder.
What I find fascinating before we get too into weeds, right? You got England, right? England, who took over the entire world, basically.
Yeah.
You've got the
Those were
American
the days.
colony, and you've got the Australian penal colony, right?
Yeah.
Americans, for whatever reason, I feel went their own way, right? We don't know
definitely.
what rugby is. We don't know what cricket is. We don't speak with somewhat of an English accent or Australian accent. We talk like we're a little slow in the head. We play baseball and American football, but both countries, Australia and America, come from the same, imperialistic country, but
Yeah, you're right.
we went our own way. You guys, Australians, we're like, let's stay British. Am I,
Do you know what
am I wrong in thinking that?
No, you're right. Do you know what the fundamental difference is? There's one overriding difference between you guys and us. And I'll tell you what it is right now.
you're a lunatic.
Well, there is that. But for me, it's this. It's the American dream. You've got the American dream, right? The American dream. Life, liberty. What is it? Liberty, life, the pursuit of happiness. The American dream. Now, there's no Australian dream.
Yeah, well, there's
no British
You're
dream.
drunk.
well, it's no, because we tended down. We're not. The British don't like talking about money or wealth.
Just like taking it.
But yes, but I think both in Australia and in the UK, there's this tall poppy syndrome. So we don't like people doing too well, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the US
that.
applaud success, and also failure is not a dirty word in the US. It's just not. Okay, if you look at how many tech entrepreneurs have failed, and have risen from the ashes multiple times. Whereas there's too much. I think, Andy, don't you reckon there's a stigma? I think there's a stigma in Australia anyway. So of failing.
I think so. I think to me, so why is there no British dream? Why is there no Australian dream? Right? It's not because we haven't got any sort of overriding sense of destiny taking us into the future. It's nothing to do with that. Do you know why there's no Australian or British dream, Doc? It's because we're awake.
Andy's gonna get
Bravo.
us banned off.
Bravo.
Andy's gonna get us banned
The
off
American
LinkedIn.
audience will catch that. I have to admit, I think they're going to miss that joke. To be quite fair, you know,
Needs to be a way.
Yeah. So,
Translate it. Keep the translation up.
No, I'm just monkeying around. I'm spucking around.
So I want to say something to Andy because you sent me, Doug, these 4 posts that he wrote, right?
Ah, right, okay.
Which
yeah.
I think was the best written stuff I've read on LinkedIn.
Oh,
And I'm not pissing in your pocket. But tell us about you growing up with your dad and your dad owning a pub.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's right.
That's a great story.
This is to me, so, you know, you can sort of, for me, I could say as a father, so my son's now 14 and he's going to be 15. And this is, it brings back a lot of those memories.
Is your dad still alive?
No, he's not, no.
Okay.
He's not, no. It's many years ago, 18 years ago, my dad passed away. But
okay.
It was like, at that age, my mom and dad bought a pub. They always had pubs and they used to be tenants for the breweries and things like that, but they bought their own pub. So it's like, it was such a new thing for me. So I've had these posts on LinkedIn and things like that about basically working in my dad's pub when I was 14, taking me behind the bar and showing me the business and things like that. And I always, this is LinkedIn, right? I always get these comments like, yeah, but Andy, hang on a minute. How comes you were working in your dad's pub when you were 14? Don't you need to be 16 to work in a restaurant? Don't you need to be 18 to work behind the bar? And I'm like, what are you like, the village policeman?
Right.
Are you like the local copper? What kind of a question is that? What kind of a question? Like, people got no idea, but this is family business, right?
Right.
So I think that, I don't know about you with that entrepreneurial thing, but for me, when I looked at my son, one of the things I wanted to do was show him how to earn money, show him how it works, how to work, how to earn money. Because if you don't do that, in my opinion, somebody's going to do it for you. Somebody else is going to do it, and you might not like the results. So this for me, working in the pub was, I can say everything, storytelling, selling, training, everything. It was all about those formative experiences. I became a qualified teacher in 1996, and people they used to be beside themselves with like the practical side, you know, doing the assessments, standing up and doing the model lessons. First time I did it, I said, this is just like being in the pub. You got everybody there. They want a bit of entertainment. They want to learn things. They want a bit of depth, but they want a bit of fun. So to me, I just thought, I'll just use my pub persona. And it just really made life easier, I could say.
So how do you go from being, you know, you grew up in a family business. I understand that because I grew up in one. And then you go from being a teacher to being the consulting that you do today. Like, how did that transition happen?
Yeah, so basically for me, so I was studying philosophy. So it's philosophy of life. Yeah, can you believe it? Okay. I love being there, right? Oh, Jesus,
what a laugh. That's the easiest credit to college or something? Exactly. Did you just want to go there to meet women?
Well, it always works out, so I'm a philosopher. So that's sort of Byronic hero, that romantic type, right?
Okay, you know? Fair enough.
So I was in there, and in the summer holidays, I'd go and do bar work in London. So I'd go work in pubs, you know, if there's a football tournament, something like that. Anyway, one day I'm walking through the campus. I see my mate, Tom, right? All right, Tom, what you up to? Where are you going? Let's go for a beer. He says, no, Andy, I'm going to the language centre. The language centre? What are you doing? You're learning a language? You're going on holiday? He says, no, mate, I'm going to be, they're doing a course. I'm going to be an English teacher. And I was like, you idiot. I laughed my head off at him, right? And he's a lovely guy, but he lost his rag. And he said, all right, Andy, so what are you going to do in the summer holidays then? You're going to go work in a pub? Yeah, I am, yeah. How much you going to earn? I don't know, £4 an hour. Do you know how much English teachers earn? Teaching English is a foreign language. How much, Tom? £16 an hour. Let's go, mate. Let's go.
Andy, stop, by the way, maybe I'm jumping the gun here. This is how you ended up going to Turkey, right?
Yeah, so for example, I met my wife. We met in 98 in London, so she was a student as well. Ebru was finishing her master's. She was doing organizational psychology and marketing. So she came over to research her thesis. We met like that. So I was studying philosophy of language, which is like kind of pure linguistics. So it kind of lent, this is how come we could do the English teaching. It kind of lent itself to that, right? So I was doing that afterwards. I started working as a consultant, basically, for communication, professional communication, things like that, blue chip corporations, multinationals, spoken communication skills. Ebru was supposed to come back to London, right? So she said, "Oh, when are you coming back?" 3 months later, 6 months later, all like that. In the end, she got a job for Siemens Mobile, as it was back then, back in the day, right, in the marketing team. So she said, "Oh, you should come here. It's, loads of opportunities." So I go over, there was nothing, nothing. So we ended up setting up our own business, which was fine actually for me, because I've grown up in that sort of entrepreneurial household, right? So it just sort of knocked on from there, really. Yeah.
And so how long have you been running your consulting practice?
Oh, so it's coming up for, it's like 18 years now,
Really?
I think. Yeah. It's been ages. Because I think once you do it, I can say, I sort of went into it with a sense of naivety, because I knew how to teach, I knew how to train. I was always interested in communication. I was always good with people. That was the pub thing, because that was the thing with my dad, right? We don't sell beer.
Right.
We serve people. Right. You can get beer from the local shop. Why do they come to the pub? Because they want to be listened to, they want to talk, they want to have a laugh, or they want to get something off their chest. So I always had that. So I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought, yeah, we'll do this. Why not? This will be fine. Right. No, it's just sort of naivety.
I find it fascinating. Your specialty is coaching or consulting. Corporate, like big corporation. The leader inside the corporation on how to have better communication skill, either to manage their team or give better report. And for me, in the back of my head, shouldn't they already have that before they get the job? But it seems to me a lot of them, don't learn how to properly communicate until they get to the point in their career where that's all you have to do is communicate all day, every day. So what do you notice about corporate communication that is always lacking? And that's where you step in.
So, I think for me, what I can say, there's what I would describe, and I suppose it's the philosophy background, non-rational decision making. So what do I mean by that? People didn't really think about whether or not this is the right way to communicate. So they go to a corporate environment, you've got these very smart people, they finish their degrees, their MBAs, they end up as a management trainee or an intern, they go into these organizations, they literally don't know what to do, right? Mm-hmm. They got no idea. So when we don't know what to do, we use social proof, right? We look around us, we look at what everybody else is doing and we copy. So how do I make a presentation? We look at what everybody's doing, we do the same. How do I write a report? We look at what everybody else is doing, we do the same. So the same sort of bad habits just get passed on and nobody really asks questions about it. So I'd say it's really all about that.
You could say the same thing to Andy about LinkedIn, though. Look at the vanilla.
Everybody's copying each other. Yeah.
Right. You look at LinkedIn, how boring and mundane. Like a lot of it. And I know within our industry, people will put pictures of their cars and say, we're the best. And I'm thinking, you're just wasting ones and zeros. Like,
absolutely.
I just put a roll of toilet paper up there and, it staggers me how they think they're going to get a return on it.
But this is what gets me about, it's what I love about your post, Simon, because it's the stories. And it's not, look, I don't want to come off as some kind of storytelling coach or something.
But you are.
In many ways, I suppose I am, right? But
definitely.
It's sharing that story. So what is leadership? So I go back to Aristotle. I go back there, right? So he would say it's logos, ethos, and pathos. It's those three things. You need to be rational, you need authority and credibility, and you need emotion. You need those three things. Like, if it's not rational, if it's not logical, we get confused. If there's no authority or credibility, we lose trust. We don't listen. If there's no emotion, we get bored. So we need the blend of those three things. You see a lot of stories on LinkedIn, and people are just throwing out emotion. They're just vomiting emotion.
Right.
And it's got some entertainment factor, but you think, well, what's in it for me? But when I read yours, because you've got those years of experience, the knocks, the hardships, the staying awake at night and suffering with it, and it resonates with the story. And you think that's a lesson I can apply to my own business, right? That's the thing. It's got to have those elements, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people. Well, here's another question, because I said I read the 4 posts that Doug sent me, and I was like blown away with the effortless way you shared the story,
cheers.
and about your dad in the pub, and we don't sell beer and all of that sort of stuff. But so he, as a communications expert, Andy, what's your advice to those people to say, should you be personal on LinkedIn or should you not?
Well, I think it, first of all, I would say, first of all, it's something like this. What's your objective? What are you trying to do? Because to me, the first question for anything is, what do I want? Like, we need to ask ourselves that question, what do I want? We need to answer it. We need to understand what we're aiming for. So otherwise, it's just aimless. It's like, there's people I know on LinkedIn, we all know, who put out posts that get lots of engagement, hundreds of likes, loads of views, loads of comments. But you're really wondering, well, what are you trying to do with this? Are you promoting a business? Are you offering some, like, it seems pretty aimless. So I would say that the starting point for it would be, what do I want? And after that is to look at your audience and think about, what is it that they need to hear? What's the pain point or the problem? What is it that I can help them with? And if you're telling a story, we're bringing it back to that point. To me, if we're explaining something or we're giving a tip, we're bringing it back to that point. So I think I would say that, you need to be comfortable with yourself. You don't need to share things that make you feel uncomfortable. I don't. There's obviously, we all know this. Like, we've got things that we would feel uncomfortable sharing. We got screeds, and that's it. Because we have to keep some of it to ourselves. We've got to have some of it for ourselves, right? But I think, understand your objective and understand how it is that you can add some sort of value.
Right.
It's quite. I look at it like this, but I wouldn't say I'm an expert with it, really.
Yeah, I think.
Go ahead, Sam, go ahead.
No, I think you're right. I think, though, that I look at Doug's stuff too. I think Doug really rarely pushes the fact that he's a copywriter. In fact, if someone asked me, is Doug a copywriter, I'd say, yeah, I think he is. But to me, he's much more than a copywriter. He's like a content partner. He's a marketing partner.
Oh, absolutely.
He's, always hammered when he's on TikTok.
He's off his head, isn't it?
He gets really pissed off because the other day he was getting, I'm never drunk. And I'm thinking, and people
you're never sober when you're on TikTok.
I know, and someone Doug, someone DM'd me the other day and said, does Doug really do these drunk? And I said, oh yeah, no, he's always hammered. He's off his head all the time. Right? It's the funniest thing.
I'll tell you what, I love Doug's TikTok, and I'll tell you why. So I like doing these little GIFs and memes. And
yeah, he's good. He's really good at it.
Oh my gosh, Doug's TikTok. It's like, how many bytes of data have you got on your computer? Within a month, that's going to be full of custom dog GIFs and stuff. It's just gold. It's fantastic. I think it's fantastic.
My phone is full because of TikTok. That's how much video I've recorded in 2 weeks.
I will admit, I will admit something, Doug. I did go on TikTok the other day, and I haven't set up an account, but I got lost for about 4 hours. Right.
Yeah, really. I've never been on.
Oh my God.
I've only checked out his
the funniest person is this Indian lady with her husband, and oh my God, I tell you, I just could not believe. Like, I'm addicted to her posts, and some of these people have got like huge followers and huge engagement, right? So
bonkers, really bonkers, yeah.
So what else, Doug? We're supposed to talk about stuff that's intelligent, but I don't know what else do you want to.
I have something before we get a little stupid about LinkedIn. Why Andy's stories are so effective, and yours, Simon, as well.
Yeah,
I think people on LinkedIn, not just LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, in real life, in corporate America, whatever, they miss the point of how business is typically done. It's
Oh, yeah.
through emotion, logic, and credibility, but more importantly, through relationship. I mean, I told Simon this a year ago on a different podcast. My grandfather and my father were both salesmen.
Yeah.
And every time I see them talking to a client, either on the phone or at a restaurant, because sometimes they will bring me along, they're never talking about business. They're
No,
really
exactly.
talking about business. They're sharing stories. They're sharing problems, the frustration. They're sharing a drink. They're having a laugh, or they're getting a cup of coffee. And then the business deal wraps up. I think a lot of people don't understand the human dynamic that goes into selling your business. Too many people
Yeah, I
are a
agree
little
with
bit
that.
too anal retentive. Like, oh, I'm selling this, I'm selling that. Here's the problem. I've got the solution.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Tell them, make me feel good. Shit, make me feel like you're interested in what I've got to say. So, Simon, I've got a quick question for you. We kind of touched on this a while. Did you ever get sales training? Meaning, what made you become effective at sales? Was it a coach? Was it a consultant? Or was it like Andy growing up and just picking what works and doesn't work and trying it? I'm very curious because you're really good at not working. I mean, you can not work with anybody. I guarantee you, if I brought you to the middle of nowhere, Mississippi, you wouldn't make a friend.
Yeah.
Like my grandfather, a poor redneck from Missouri. And when we were living in New York, keep in mind, my grandfather has this thick southern accent. And when he goes to New York, everybody says, he will make a friend. He'll make a friend, no big deal, because he'll find something in common. And he'll have a joke with you. And he doesn't take himself too seriously. And so that he's always selling. So anyway, back to you. What grew this sales muscle, if you will?
Well, I appreciate the compliment, firstly. And I think Andy would get this as well, because Andy's got the gift of the gab, if that's what you want to call it.
It's been called many things, that gift.
I'm not sure. Look, I'm not sure if you can teach someone how to sell. You can certainly teach people what to say, but that's not selling. That's learning a script, the secret handshake, trial closes, back door, front door, blah, blah, blah. I think all of that's bullshit.
Yeah, me too.
And I know with the clients that we have, we really don't sell anything. We solve a problem and we put them in our bubble. And once you're in our bubble, you tend to stay with us forever. And when clients are referred to us, like I'm here with our partners in London, and we're working on a big project together, but the partners in London and us and the company that's engaging us, price has never come up yet. It's just, can you solve the problem? So I mean, I think that the smartest thing I did when I was a kid, I was very fortunate. My parents sent me to a Dale Carnegie course, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah. So it was a public speaking course. So I think, I would encourage all. I think that the skill of public speaking is a forgotten art, and more people are scared 100%. Of public speaking than they are of going to the dentist, getting into a fight. Like people are more scared of speaking in front of 200 people as opposed to getting in a ring with a kickboxer. And I'm thinking that's crazy, right? I mean, I love pitching and presenting. And if someone said, "Oh, you've got to," if Andy said, "Oh, come down the road, there's 200 people, we're going to talk about LinkedIn," I'd love it. I think it'd be great.
Yeah.
Now I might have a couple of beers beforehand. That's to get ready. But I've done a lot of professional selling courses, but I think that they're all a waste of time. You either have it in your heart or you don't.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That Andy gets up every day and has run a business for 18 years because he's got that fire in his belly. That's his own business. And you, Doug, you work like a train. Like you're up in the morning, you're late at night, you're spending hours and hours and hours a day on social media. You do realize you could go and get a job with big corporate that would probably pay you, right, just as much money. And you could go home at 5 o'clock on a Friday, go back to work on a Monday. But you choose not to do that. You choose to make a difference. You want your independence. See, I could never go back to corporate.
Oh yeah.
Could you?
I was never in it, but I couldn't.
No, but could you, like, if someone, if Procter and Gamble or
No.
you know,
No way.
one of the big boys rings you up tomorrow and says, "Here's a ton of money, you know, Andy, we want you to head up global communications." He and I would get fired by lunchtime.
Oh yeah.
On the first day. We'd be in human resources by 11 o'clock, right?
Yeah, probably.
And so I think that there's a commonality between self-employed people that, you know, I just enjoy the challenge, you know. I like that. I mean, I don't know how many staff you employ, Andy, but, you know, our little team, I like the fact that I've got to make payroll every week.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I like the fact that we're a small knit community, but I also like the fact that we hopefully make a difference, you know, to our clients, and we do meaningful work. And, you know, but I think, as I said, to go back to the original question, I've done a ton of sales training, but I said, I don't think anything was valuable. I think the best thing I had were two parents that certainly believed in me and taught me more about selling, like Andy's old man taught him about life in a pub, than any sales course.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this. What's the most value you can get from sales training? You can learn how to not do things. But how to do things is something else. Like, for example, you may take people there and you say, okay, so that, you know, let's do a role play, let's try, and they'll instantly start talking. When people think they need to sell, they'll start talking. And they won't stop. They won't ask any questions. They won't give the other person a chance to talk. They'll just talk over them. They think they can talk you into it. So you may be able to say to them, look, shut up, stop talking, stop. You may be able to sort of drum something into them about what not to do. But about the instinct about what to do, it's hard to teach that, I think. And I agree with what Simon said. I think you've got to have that instinct. You've got to have that drive in you. It's like, from time to time, people have said to me, I've been talking to friends or people, obviously I've got loads of mates who work in corporations. They'll ask me what I'm doing. I'm trying this now. They'll say, well, that sounds crazy. How do you know that's going to work? What if that fails? Well, it won't, because I'll keep doing it till it works. Or I won't want to do it anymore. I'll do something else. So it's like, it isn't, of course it's going to fail. It's going to fail 100 times until you can get it right, you know, or you say it's not worth it.
Right.
I thought this would be more fun or more, you know, more fulfilling or whatever. You got to have it in you, I think, that sort of drive. I don't think you can teach that.
I mean, Doug, remember we spoke a while ago about, you know, sell me the pen. Remember that?
Yeah, Jordan Belfont, isn't it?
Right.
What's
So,
his name?
you know, so I would go through sales training back in the day, you know, where the sales trainer would come in and he'd say, all right, Andy, sell me the pen.
Yeah.
And one guy, you know, who I never forget, who's got a great sales training business today on LinkedIn. He said, why? Do you need a pen? No, he said, why? Do you need a pen?
Absolutely. Yeah.
What's wrong with your pen?
Yeah, exactly.
Have you got a check you want me to sign?
Yeah.
And he said, I'm not going to sell you a pen if you don't need one. And the sales trainer was like absolutely flabbergasted. I said, no, but you've got to sell me the pen.
Yeah.
But you don't need one.
Yeah.
And so I've always said, we would never, like when we, let's call it sell stuff, we never force, you know, we've never held a gun to your head and said, oh, you must buy this.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I don't think pitching in the damn work, because when I number one, I don't even know if you have a problem. So what am I going to pitch?
Yeah.
What am I going to say? You know, too many people pitch and try to bait you into handing over cat. But for me, when I DM people, number one, I have no idea if you even have a problem. Number two, I have no idea if you're even interested in solving this problem. All I'm interested in, if I reach out to you, is simply say hello and keep me on top of your mind, right? That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then through the course of human interaction, your problem is going to come up in a conversation. And I'm going to be, oh, that's interesting. What have you done to solve it? Oh, I'm working with so-and-so. How's that working out for you? Very natural dynamic. I never picked similar to the whole pen. Why? Why would I pick? Do you want copywriting services? I don't know. Nobody can. Yeah. Where do I sign up?
Please.
Yeah,
Where do I send the cash?
Yeah, you don't. It's not like someone sends you an email and says, "Oh, I want to buy some copyright." Like, well, for what?
Yeah,
right?
exactly. it's like we get this all. So a lot of the clients that we work with, we've been working with for many years. Like most of our clients we've been working with for 10 years, this sort of thing, right? So there's a lot of referral. Therefore, people come along and they'll say things like, oh, you do this with these guys, we're looking for something similar. But before anything else, you need to have that conversation with them. Like from time to time, you tend to find you'll get some specialist from the learning and development department in some large corporate, something like that. And they'll be tasked with getting in touch with me to buy something. So I'll be on the call with this person nowadays, on Zoom or something, and they'll very often they'll start with something like, so Mr. Kovacs, tell me what you can do for us. And it's like,
I would say nothing.
Yeah.
And hang up the phone.
I'm like, first of all, call me Andy. And secondly, I don't know. I got no idea, maybe nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, really haven't got a clue what's your problem, like what's going on.
But it's like, Doug, go back to all the recruiting stuff we see on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I see all these recruiters, and the people, I think that the whole recruitment process is way too adversarial. It's like the poor recruit and then the hiring agency or the recruiter, but they'll ask the dumbest question: why should we hire you? I have no idea.
Yeah.
If you haven't figured that out, we're in big trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, isn't that the dumbest thing? Why should we hire you? And I'm thinking, I don't know. Why should you hire me? Right? I mean, I think, and then it puts you on this, but if I imagine saying that to you, Doug, when we first started talking, I said, Doug, why should I hire you? You say, I don't know.
Yeah, you tell me.
Have you got a problem? Right? I mean, that's just the dumbest. It's the dumbest thing. And if someone asked me that, if someone called us up and said, why should we hire 8 Black to do our global transportation or provide security? I have no idea. Right? I mean, you should go off and do some more research. Right? Yeah. Or why should we hire Andy's firm? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
If I meet Andy, I kind of think if I'm going to require a global communications company or consulting company, I'm probably going to seek him out. And I've already decided before I walked into his office that he's the guy. Or when we started talking, Doug, and we'd already developed an online relationship. And I mean, I don't even remember the first time we said, oh, well, let's do something together. It was just like, yeah, you can help me do this. I'll help you do this. Send me the bill. And that's how, I don't know. I mean, you never asked me for the order. You didn't say, buy my shit. I never heard you once you say, buy my shit. In fact, none of your posts say, buy my shit, right?
Yeah, this is again back to the LinkedIn point. Like, why should we post on LinkedIn? And again, to me, it's that like, what's your objective? What are you trying to achieve? Now, it could be that you're on LinkedIn because you like the community. People are very nice there. People are very polite. There's no, I was going to say there's no snarky comments, but that's not true, is it? But that's not true at all, right?
Doug gets plenty.
Doug gets
plenty. He's got plenty pissed off.
He gets plenty. But you're sort of, in general, you'll put something up and people will be like, oh, fantastic. Like, it's not like, for example, other platforms where you'll find more trolls, perhaps.
Yeah, like Facebook or something.
Yeah, you're posting under your own name. Right. In general, you've got your place of business.
You can't be a troll.
Yeah.
You're going to get found.
You're going to get fired if you're not careful. Right. So I think for that, it's the trollage is a lot less, right? So you may be on there just to sort of share your life and your ideas. You like the community. Fine. I'm not, absolutely fill your boots, knock yourself out. But if you're using it for some sort of business purpose, I think, what do you want from that? You always see this sort of thing like, oh, you need to have this, you need to do this, you need to sort of put your offer out like that, whatever. But it's like, for me, it just doesn't work like that at all. I haven't got some sort of, masterclass by the end of the month, 25% off type, credit card at the ready type course. We don't do that.
Right.
Everything's bespoke. Right. Everything's tailor-made.
Yeah, we do. Right.
So for that reason, there's no off-the-peg stuff that we're selling. Right. I'm not saying we never will. I don't know. But it's just that's what we're doing there. It's kind of weird because when I look at a lot of creators, they're aiming more for the sort of ready fit solutions. Whereas it's not like that for us. It's a long process for us.
Yeah, I still think that's okay. I mean, people want to be consultants and want to get people on a conveyor belt and put people. I mean, I get you get invited to calls every, week that are clearly part of a sales funnel. And I have no problem with that. That's the way you want to generate business, blah, blah, blah. But I'm way more in tune with Andy's model, is that we don't use LinkedIn to pitch anything. I've never used it to pitch, book a car service from Heathrow to downtown or do anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
We just, and I struggle with Andy's comment, because sometimes I actually don't know what I'm doing on LinkedIn. Hanging out with Doug, right? No, but I don't. I don't. But maybe it's like, okay, it's it's part of social branding, building an awareness. I like the community. I love it. I've met some great friends, and I'll continue to do it. But the business, some people, one person said, well, why would you waste time if you're not getting any business from it? I said, all I've got to do is one person's got to call me in the next year to make it all worthwhile.
Yeah, that's right. You don't know what you're getting from it as well, from another perspective, right?
And if I wanted to run it, because it really, apart from, my time, I don't feel that I'm, I don't need the leads every day to generate revenue, or it's unlike you, Doug, where you have to make LinkedIn work. It's a critical platform for you that, helps pay your bills, get you clients. And that's important, but you still do it in such a way where it's never forced upon anybody. You've figured out your mousetrap, let's call it that way. You'll figure out the best way to configure your mousetrap.
Yeah, I should qualify what I said before, because I'm specifically talking about my posts. But 75% of what I do on LinkedIn doesn't fit in with that objective at all.
What of
75% of what I've actually put on LinkedIn is literally just having fun, making friends, something like that, because I do 3 times more commenting than posting. In terms of time, in terms of word count, in terms of effort, in terms of everything.
But that's why you have the following you have and the loyalty.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. It's like somebody was saying to me the other day, like, why are you putting these gifts up, Andy? Yeah. You look like a lunatic. And it's like,
they're funny.
Because it's funny.
Yeah, they are funny.
Laugh.
It's fun. They're funny.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. It's
by the way, before we get to the joke, I want to finish Simon's thought real quick. Simon was talking about he doesn't know why he's on LinkedIn. His revenue doesn't come from LinkedIn, which reminds me of a client I'm currently working with. This client is, I would say, an upmarket healthcare industry guy whose company sells to states instead of individuals, meaning in the state of Missouri, and you need a particular type of software. I can't name it, but for this paper,
we got it.
This particular type of software to run this program, which is, you're talking about millions of dollars worth of transactions. So either way, he did reach out and wanted to start a LinkedIn profile, but he couldn't understand why, because people kept pushing him. And I said, you know what? This isn't about selling the product. This is about creating a brand around you, so that when you enter the room to talk to these high-level profile people, they already know you. That's it. He didn't believe me. He hates LinkedIn, by the way. Absolutely hates. What's the point? He's an older gentleman. I mean, he's old school. But 6 months in, because he had money, he can afford to pay for services like that. Not a big deal to him, but he was grown about it. So grown, 6 months later, he's at a conference, right? He's giving a big speech within his industry. And all of a sudden, people kept coming up to him to shake his hand out of nowhere. Hey, I can't say the name. Hey, hey, Bob. Hey, Bob, how you doing? He's like, who are you? Do I know you? Oh, I follow your stuff on LinkedIn. It's fantastic. Keep it up. Blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of that conference, somebody comes up to him. I really love what you do on LinkedIn. Would you be willing to come and consult with my company? And keep in mind, he's not selling consulting services. He's selling his company. But LinkedIn gave him enough brand awareness that people want to talk to him, shake his hand, and invite him over. So you might not be on LinkedIn to sell a service or product like me, or James, our mutual friend James. You might be getting your revenue from an outside source. LinkedIn still has value. It's a very public business platform where if you give it enough time, you build enough relationships and tell a good story, people will seek you out for opportunities you never even thought about. So I just want to finish that thought from saying, back to your jokes. I think your jokes are brilliant. Somebody said it the other day. The reason why your posts are doing so good is because Andy leaves the best gifts, whatever they're called. Absolutely, my secret sauce.
Isn't it supposed to be gifts or is it gifs? Is he just?
It's whatever Doug wants. I tell you, the money he pays me to make him, it's whatever he wants. I'm kidding. I'm joking.
I pay him a percentage of my sales.
Doug, isn't it gifts or are you saying gifts or gifs? It's gifts.
Yes,
I say, I don't know.
What do you say?
I say gifts, but I don't know. Okay. People say gifs.
Do they?
Yeah.
Some people say gifs.
If you're from Chicago. So I will tell you, Doug, that that weekend, the day that we met, remember I came to Chicago. Yeah. So I was sitting in the hotel at the restaurant of the hotel on my laptop, and the waiter came over to me and he said, "Are you Simon Chen?" And I said,
"You're kidding me like that?"
No, this is true. The waiter. He goes, "Yes." I said, "Yes." And I thought, fucking hell. He goes, "Oh, I follow you on LinkedIn. You're great." And I'm thinking, what?
Yeah.
The waiter.
It's mental.
Now, see, Doug, you've failed. You've failed as my content guy. Because why don't gorgeous women come up to me and say hello? Why do waiters at restaurants, come up and say hello?
You need a bit more lover boy storytelling.
But that seriously, that's absolutely true. And so I think that the thing that's going to unfold for everybody, Andy and you, Doug, especially, is, and maybe us, but our biggest client is already lurking and watching on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
They just haven't reached out yet. You literally, I'm talking game-changing client is already out there watching, saying nothing, not posting, but they will reach out at a point that will absolutely change your entire business. Yeah, I am absolutely convinced.
I agree with that. I would add something to that, right? It's about action. You want to be posting, it's about action. It's about putting the content out there. It's about putting yourself out. Why so? Look, all three of us, do you have any competitors in your sector?
Yeah, millions.
Millions. Tons of them, right?
I mean,
millions.
LinkedIn's, you'd need deep in. You couldn't swing a cat without hitting a copyright.
Absolutely. Right? So look, why work with us? Our personalities are a very big part of our business, a very big part of our service, very big. Now, you might look at my posts on LinkedIn and say, God, what a dickhead. I don't want to work with him. Good. Don't waste my time then. Don't waste your own.
Right.
Because absolutely, like if you say, oh, Andy, you're the best, it's like, well, maybe for you.
Right.
But there can be 10 guys behind you. I'm absolutely the worst for them.
Right.
So if you put it out there, if you put that out there, people can say, yeah, I like that guy. I like his stuff. Or I can't stand that guy. I think he's an idiot.
Right.
Even better.
Right.
Because it's all about finding that chemistry. It's like coaching, right? So we use associates for training programs and things like that. So many of them have got these coaching diplomas, and they talk about coaching. They talk about like clients as if it's like doing a jigsaw. Like it's something that needs, we're going to put it together. It's like, it isn't like that at all. It's all about the chemistry. How many times I've never done a coaching in my life with someone I haven't had an in-depth conversation with, or at least one. Because if that chemistry is not there, it's torture.
Yeah, I mean, it's like
misery.
I've worked with Doug for a year.
Yeah.
And if we didn't get on, it would have lasted like 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Honestly, it's like it's just, you can't explain it. You can't. I mean, you just get to a point where we have a working relationship. Hey, Doug, we've got a problem. Okay, actually, we haven't got a lot to do this month. Well, we're going to do some more next month. But he's
yeah.
We don't regard it as that vendor client thing
Oh, yeah,
anymore. It's just,
absolutely.
okay, let's do the podcast, let's do this, let's do that. And
It's a transformational relationship. It's not a transactional relationship anymore.
Right.
It's a transformation. Knowing each other has changed your life and Doug's life for the better.
No, it hasn't, because he still hasn't made me. I still have guys in restaurants.
There's
coming
waiters,
up
Doug. He's looking for the waitresses.
Yes, waitress, Doug, not waiter, waitress. Hello, Doug. Earth to Doug.
By the way, one more thing about this point. I actually had a client many months ago who we started working together because we did a lot of dialogue in the comment. We had a lot of dialogue in the DM. And then when we got to signing the contract for me to write for him, not ghostwriting, copywriting, later in one of our conversations, he said, so is that your tactic, Doug, to be friends with people so you can sign them? I'm like, no, it's just, I didn't even know we were going to work together. Just like you had no idea we would be working together. That's not a tactic. It's just simply me being sociable. And you happen to be sociable. And like you said, I have a problem. I know Doug maybe solve it. And we talk. I don't think that's me playing games, but he was really offended by that because it's like he had a revelation. Oh, so you make friends with people so you can sign them. I mean, no, I never pressured you to sign me. I never set up a sales pitch. You simply reached out to me out of the blue and said, Doug, I'm launching this course. Can you help? I had nothing to do with persuading you. We developed a relationship. Yeah, we were quite friendly, but for whatever reason, he was really bothered by that. I don't know why, but I think in my line of work, especially what Andy said, there were a million copywriters, and I guarantee you, there's at least 100 copywriters who are 10 times better than me. And I'm okay with that. I don't.
Well, they're better looking.
That's for sure. I'm not certainly not the work. I just need to find people.
Oh, for fuck's sake! He's.
We can see your tonsils, Doug.
Doug, come back. Is that us? Oh, there.
We lost connection. What were you going to say? Were you going to make fun of me, Simon?
We were making fun of you while your mouth was open because you look like a big hippopotamus, right?
But you're right. It's exactly that. There's so many people, and I think it's like, again, it's like, are you right for that person? And again, it's back to that point. 75% of what I do has no aim. It's just like, that's funny. I'll put a GIF. Oh, that reminds me of that. Let's write this on the GIF. It's like somebody was saying, I caught something in the comments. I was tagged on it, and somebody said, "Oh yeah, Andy Kovacs." So who's he? Oh, he's that super condensed GIF storytelling guy. Wow, yeah, there you go. Because 75% of what I do is actually that. Now it's like, why? What for? Is it to like? It's like, am I making those GIFs to get customers? No, of course not. I like the content. I thought it's like a tip of the hat. I like the content. Thought it was funny. Tip of the hat, something like that. There's no aim to it.
But that's where people, I think, going back to Doug's previous client story, where he just couldn't understand why you would. He thought that there was a hidden agenda, right? Doug?
Yeah.
The guy thought that you were doing the secret handshake and, twisted his arm and and I think it's same with Andy's, critics that say, well, Andy, why would you spend all that time doing all these GIFs and all the time responding? Well, one, he enjoys it. B, that's how he expresses himself. And, I think that there isn't, the trick is that there is no trick.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect way to put it.
And I had I've got a good buddy of mine in Australia who's a very well-regarded management consultant. And he would get up on stage and say, look, the trick, and he was the guy with the sell me the pen stuff too. So the trick is there is no trick.
Yeah.
And I think that that's absolutely true, but I think that cynicism on LinkedIn, especially in our circle, is probably minuscule.
Yeah, I find like a lot of what I do with posts, because I see so much bullshit all the time.
Oh yeah.
And it's like
Doug stuff,
Oh God, yeah. Reams of it.
Reams. Just knee deep in it, Doug. We're wading through the Doug Lawson pile of shit.
But I see so much bullshit, and I think it's like it becomes a sort of echo chamber. People don't know what to post, so they'll put some positivity or positive mindset post, and
snowflakes and kittens.
Yeah. Leaders need to be. All you need to do is care and all this sort of thing. But in actual fact, when you've let this is a sort of thing for me. My dad got that pub. We moved to that pub when I was 14 years old, and my bedroom was over the kitchen. So half of the pub was like built onto an extended cottage. That's where the kitchen was. My bedroom was over the top. So low ceiling, you could hear everything that was going on. And I remember being 14 years old, Saturday morning, and hearing my dad fire someone. So as an employee there, they'd been working for him. He wasn't working out. And the way he did it and the way he spoke to them, obviously the person got very upset. And he was saying, I wish it could be different, but it's just not working out. And I'm really sorry. And there was no hard feelings. They went their separate way. He gave the severance, etc., like that. And I went downstairs to him. I said, "Oh, Dad, why did you do that? Like, why did you do that? It's such a nice person." He said, "Yeah, I know. It breaks my heart to do it, but it's what I have to do because this isn't some sort of popularity contest. This isn't so. It's not a social club. This is a business. Right. So people need to be able to do what they're employed to do because there's a result." And unfortunately, with this person, they weren't delivering the result, and it's affecting the experience of the customer. Right. So there's nothing we can do. We tried to explain it. We tried to show maybe it's that I'm not a good enough person, boss to explain it, but it wasn't working. Maybe I'm partly responsible. I don't know, but that's life. And I was like, yeah, this is tough. This is a tough game, man. Right. Being the boss, leading people is a tough game. And I see this positivity. Then I'm on coaching calls with people, like C-level executives, directors in big organizations. And they say, when they're down, we all get a knock to our confidence from time to time, right? When they're down, they're saying, I don't know, Andy, it's me. And, imposter syndrome, whatever buzzword they're using for it now, people get down. And they say, somebody said this, one on my team, people getting upset. I feel like an asshole. I'm looking on LinkedIn and do I really care? And it's like, look at you, man, you're in bits. You're in bits over this. And it's like, yeah, but the result, and it's like, yeah, because that's why it's hard. We got to balance the relationship with the results. And this trite sort of cloying bullshit, happy smiley bullshit, it's dangerous. So from time to time, I'll put something out against that. And I'll get hammered every time by somebody in the comments saying, you don't, oh yeah, somebody will come along and say, you don't know, like, you toxic environments. And it's like, well, I don't know. Right. I've been training these executives for 20 years, man. Right. Not just in one corporation, but in dozens, hundreds. Yeah. So I know, man. It's like, it's a kind of, I don't know, but then maybe it's all part of it. You need to put that out there so people can understand it. Maybe people see it and they say, yeah, thank God somebody's speaking for me. 100 people see it and say, what an asshole. What are you, like, advocating bullying?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Andy. I mean, I think it's, I think we said this, Doug, on the other podcast with Claire, we deal with insanity every day.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Our clients are not normal. Half the stuff we do, I can't even publish.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And the same, Andy could, when the camera turns off and we go and have a beer, we can talk about all the crazy stuff we do. But I mean, Doug, some of it, but it's not, people think that there should be this kitten and snowflake reality and this, warm little, we all have a hug and we'll feel better. But it's, as you said, Doug, the other day, that doesn't pay your mortgage, doesn't pay for your kids to go to college, and, doesn't pay my bills, doesn't pay Andy's payroll, right? At some point you have to have a real conversation with your client, or your employees to say, this is reality. You have to accept reality. Anyway.
It's like your line of work. So it's like the car hire and things like that. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of similarities with the pub trades. Why do we hire a car? Because, like, a lot of people, they don't want to drive. Why? Because they're having a drink or partying or something like that. The Saturday night, Friday night stuff that goes on is mental, man. You can't imagine, like, growing up in a... Yeah. Like, this is, again, the sort of pub thing, because I think I thought about this once, like, how did I get my salesmanship to the level that it was? I basically hit the ground running, and it surprised everybody where I was working in London when I graduated. And it was literally because I've grown up in pubs and restaurants, so I've met over 20,000 people before I was 18 years old. And I met idiots. Like, I can say most people, this is what I would say. Most people are nice, genuinely.
Until they're drunk.
Well, that's a different story. Most people are nice. You might not like them, but they're nice.
Right.
There's very few evil psychopaths in the world, thank God. That's what my experience tells me. If you ever meet one, my God, it's going to change your life for the worse permanently. God help you. I wish you all the best for those sorts of situations. I hope they never happen, you know, touch wood. But most people are nice. But it's literally, we're all so very different. And it's ultimately that. It's about having experience with people.
No, I agree. Fantastic. This is a great way to end the show. I've got a client call in a couple of minutes.
Care.
But
we don't care.
What are you two gonna do after I hang up on the both of you?
Well,
we're gonna have a beer because the bar's just right there, like literally right there. There's a pub, there's a bar right there. So I'm gonna buy him a beer.
I think we need one. I tell you what, mate, looking at that wall behind you is depressing.
Yeah,
man.
Put something up there.
What is that?
Why don't you use the virtual screen? Why did you just have like white walls?
Do you know what I'm gonna do, right?
Let's send him a picture.
Yeah, I'm gonna paint you a picture. DM me your address. I'm gonna send you a picture. You can put that up on there, mate. Oh my goodness, mate. Flipping out.
My wife's been bugging me for weeks. Like, you need to put something on your walls. And that, what do you want me to put on my wall?
But normally you have
bookshelf. I don't want a bookshelf. That's a pot.
But you use the LinkedIn one.
Kind of stuff.
No, you use the Zoom one. Like for the last Zooms, you always use the fake screen.
I do. But everybody complained about, why are you having a moon in your background? I don't know, because it looks like this. So I'll go back to the old one.
Yeah, I'm gonna do you a picture of Lord North, Prime Minister Lord North, the British Prime Minister who lost the American colonies, with the stars and stripes behind him.
Put a rugby. Put some big rugby. Put a rugby poster up there or something. He likes rugby. You know, something brainless.
All right, gentlemen, enjoy your beer.
You got to do this.
For the great show.
This is this.
Tell him what that means, by the way.
Do that.
Cheers, fellas.
Have a good one.
Yeah, will do.
To a death. Tell you secret fun.
Fuck off.